To the Benchwarmers podcast. I am Casey Coggins here with Alvin Hebert.
Deja vu.
And Andrew Lara.
What?
This is our second take at starting this thing. Had some, I guess we can say, technical difficulties on the first go-around. But new week, new topics, even though it seems like some things are just like put on repeat every week.
There's always something.
There's
always something with the same people.
Yeah, exactly. But main topic this week is definitely the college football playoff. The committee made their picks after the conference championships were played, and there's a little controversy. And last week I said I wanted TCU and Ohio State to both win, just to really throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. Because if OU would have gotten another loss and TCU was the conference champion, and then you'd have Wisconsin with one loss and Bama with one loss that didn't win their conference championship, and then you had Ohio State with 2 losses and Auburn would have been knocked out with Georgia's win. Miami, I think, only had 2 losses after that.
Terrible. Would have opened it all up.
So they would have been like, all right, well, we need an 18 playoff this year.
Talks are brewing though.
The top
talks
three,
have been brewing since the first year they came up with it.
Yeah. The top 3 were locked when OU won, because you knew the winner of Clemson and Miami was in, and you knew the winner of Georgia and Auburn were in. You knew those 2 were in. OU won, they were in. So then you have that 4th spot up for grabs. And the first year, they didn't put a Big 12 team in because they didn't play a conference championship. So they wanted a conference championship to be played, and that's why they didn't put Baylor or TCU in the first year. Last year, they put Ohio State in over Penn State, even though Penn State won the Big Ten. And then they put in Alabama this year, who only had the 1 loss, but they didn't play in a conference championship game, and they had a weak schedule.
That's what I've been saying, man.
And their best win is LSU right now. And Florida State, they hurt the quarterback for Florida State, so they might have been a better team throughout the year. And the only other team that they really played was Mississippi State in Mississippi State. And then I believe they played A&M.
And they didn't even smash Mississippi State either.
No.
That was a nail-biting game.
And then they lost to Auburn. It just seems to me that they favor Alabama because they know what they're going to get from Alabama, because they put in Ohio State last year and Ohio State laid an egg against Clemson. But then again, if you're just judging based off of what Ohio State did against Clemson, Clemson also beat Alabama. And yeah, it came down to a final play, but Clemson beat both of those teams.
It's just a bias because it's Nick Saban and Alabama.
All of it came down to the fact that Ohio State's loss was to Iowa by 31. Like if they had lost to Iowa by like a last-second field goal, we're probably not having this discussion about Ohio State and Alabama, because Ohio State would probably be put in. But they had that bad loss to Iowa, and it just seems like there's a weird mix of they want you to play tough teams, but you're not allowed to lose. So if you play weak teams and you win them all, you're given the benefit of the doubt. So it seems like there isn't. I mean, there really hasn't been a rule of law for how they pick their teams, and it's all based off of personal preference that year. So and Bama hasn't been out of the college football playoff all 4 years. Like, they've been in every single one. There's part of me that believes that they just wanted Alabama to be in it because it's Alabama. They wanted Alabama to play Clemson. They wanted a rematch, even though they're different teams this season. But then, you get into, well, what about teams like Miami? And what about teams like USC? What about Wisconsin? Like, yeah, Wisconsin didn't lose, or they only lost one game, and they didn't win their conference championship. And they had.
And they snatched their whole entire season.
And they have, the leading rusher on the year with Jonathan Taylor. Like, why don't they get any love?
Gumbo agrees.
Gumbo does agree. She's just ready to play. So I just feel like the college football playoff really kind of didn't have a chance to make the right choice this year.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna have a top 4, like, I believe they gotta be conference champion winners. Like,
yeah.
I can't agree with having a top 4 and one of them in there and they didn't play the conference championship, but they still make it in.
Yeah, it's
over somebody that did play the conference championship and had a harder schedule,
but they lost.
They won the conference championship.
Well, the one thing that I've heard
twice.
I've heard mentioned.
Well, when you're playing teams like Mercer, I don't expect you to lose twice.
Anything can happen.
The one thing that I've heard from a couple different people, I've been hearing it from Will Kane today, is a good idea to make an 18 playoff, and they say they don't want an 18 playoff because you're making them play one more game than they have to
for free.
And yeah,
not for free.
But I don't think college football players would object to another game, especially if they think about the Miami players. Do you think they would be like, oh man, we have to play an extra game if they're in the
top 8?
Yeah,
I was like, there's incentive to play though. You're still in it.
You still got that chance.
Well, they also get even though they're playing for free, a lot of these they get swag from the bowl games. They get free stuff from the bowl games.
Shoe deals.
They get money from the bowl games too. The school
gets money, but the players actually get like goodie bags.
Well, the players get money too.
Yeah, once they autograph it and sell it,
it's tax free.
It's tax free.
But yeah, anybody will play that extra game if there's something behind.
So
if there's still a chance, we're still in.
You have 5 power conferences. You have the Power 5. The conference championship winner of each of those are your 5 of the 8 teams. And then you have 3 at-large teams. So you have a team that's when Alabama deserves to be in the college football playoff, even though I think they had a weak schedule and they didn't win their conference championship. Like really, I know how talented they are, and I think they should have been in. Like, I wouldn't have been mad. I wasn't mad at any of the 4 team or whoever got that 4th spot. I really wouldn't have been mad unless it was Miami, because then that would have just made Alvin happy. And who wants that? So you would have been mad about that?
Yeah, because that would have been. They shouldn't be in there. They could have been 5 at best, because that don't matter.
But any of those teams, like, I wouldn't have been mad if Wisconsin made it. I wouldn't have been mad if USC made it. I wouldn't have been mad if Ohio State or Miami made it. Like, any of those teams were deserving, and I think are good enough to beat teams like Clemson and OU on any given week. So I don't think that there was a wrong choice, but there was definitely a non-Alabama choice to be made, and they could have sent shockwaves to college football saying, look, if your strength of schedule is this low and you don't win your conference championship, you're not in.
Yeah.
So then that would make teams have to play better teams going forward. And I'm not saying that all of their out-of-conference games need to be powerhouses, because then that doesn't, the small schools use getting blown out as incentive for them. We were just talking about the money that schools make for the bowl games, Mercer gets paid by Alabama to get blown out. So Alabama's like, here's $500,000. Come play us for our homecoming.
But that's usually like the first game of the season, that warm up game that they usually do. You know, like,
their warm up game was Florida State.
I'm fine with it being in the middle of the season. Like, as long as you're playing somebody else, like, and there are teams that aren't going to help it. So the SEC East, like, it's a pretty bad division. It's what, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia.
Well, Tennessee is trash.
Yeah. Florida didn't have a good year. That's why they fired what's his face.
Yeah, Texas A&M hasn't been good.
They are in the West though, but the SEC, the SEC is kind of like people hoist it up, saying, but I think the Big Ten is probably the best conference in football right now. Overall, yes, but the ACC has more teams at the top, I think. Well, if Florida State was healthy, I think they would have.
Well, Pac-12, they always have like
the Pac. See, I just think
that's always a tough conference.
The Pac-12, also, I think, was down this year because USC had 2 losses and they won the conference. Like, I don't think Utah wasn't.
But you usually have Stanford, Oregon, USC.
Oregon was bad this year.
Yeah, they were bad this year, but
Washington State was, I think, your 3rd best team. Like Oregon State, Arizona State, all garbage. Even though Arizona has one of the most electrifying players in college football, with like Khalil Tate, I think is his name. He had like 3 straight games with a 75-yard or longer rush touchdown. But I think you have to, like, the winner of the conference championship should be in. And especially Power 5 conferences. Like, and if the winner of the conference championship lost, like if Ohio State would have had one of those losses be to Alabama, then I get it. But it wasn't. And Ohio State deserves to be in more than Bama does.
I agree.
And I think, they are going to go to an 8-team playoff once they figure out how to do that. And we just said the talks have been happening, but I think with how last year was with Ohio State and Penn State, like every year it seems like there's a couple teams that either didn't have the strength of schedule, didn't win the conference championship.
There's always something.
Yeah, and the NCAA...
They're just riding that Roll Tide dick, man.
The inside...
God, what do you mean it's a big elephant one, dude?
Yeah. the
flopping all over the place.
The elephantitis.
The NCAA is all about making money, so once they figure out how to work out an 18 playoff, it's gonna come. And
I would see how they can't figure that out. Like,
I'd be surprised. Well, because you have to figure out what bowls that you're gonna play, because you can't have you had your 4 BCS bowls, so you can't have all of that. You have to have like the Cotton Bowl is going to be one of your playoff games, like bowls. It's like trying to figure out who's going to play where, and that's I think where it comes. The problem comes, which I guess actually no, it wouldn't matter because it's 8 teams. You had 4 BCS bowls, so each of the BCS bowls that you had, Fiesta, Rose, Sugar.
They're not
Fiesta, Rose
Bowl,
Sugar.
Cotton.
Orange. Is that the other one? The Orange Bowl?
Yeah.
The 4 main.
Oh, you're missing the Rose Bowl one. That's
no, I said Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
All of those games would be your playoff games, and then you go down to the semifinals, and then you play on like a neutral field. Like make it like
Alamo Dome.
You can make it a grand thing. Like NCAA basketball is pretty much only relevant for the tournament they have.
March Madness, baby.
College football can have just as good a tournament with the 8 teams. But I think we got that covered. Let's move on to a little bit of NBA.
A little for a tall guy.
In the NBA, there's just the same old stuff happening. Teams are winning, teams are losing. But the big piece, I think, right now that's kind of come up is a rumor about the Clippers looking into trading DeAndre Jordan, which I think they should do.
Yeah.
But they need a shooter, not freaking big. Like all these like rumored deals is like.
What about a big who can shoot?
Well, they need.
But that's what I'm saying. The rumors are like the bigs that they're looking into trading. Like they're not ones that spread the floor.
They need a big. Like you don't trade. That's one of the reasons why I think the Spurs didn't trade LaMarcus is they couldn't just trade LaMarcus for like a Devin Booker type player. They couldn't trade him for Eric Bledsoe because they need size. They need a big guy.
Yeah, but he could shoot from the perimeter.
But DeAndre is one of the few big guys I think that Danilo is hurt, Blake is hurt, but who they have Willie Reed. Like you can't rely on that guy as a big time player. So they need somebody to replace DeAndre Jordan's minutes as a big. But like you said, Alvin, they do need shooting, and how many big men that can shoot threes are out there that are available?
There's two of them in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Which one of those guys are you going to trade? If you're the Pelicans, who are you?
Which one is worth DeAndre would be Boogie. Anthony Davis, you got to throw in more than DeAndre.
Throw in more. Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's kind of where it comes to a head. Is I wouldn't trade either of those guys for DeAndre Jordan.
Like DeAndre, Pat Beverly for Boogie.
Well, Pat Beverly's out for the season now.
Yeah, but he'll come back next season. There's always next year, man. Like, teaching that since T-ball.
DeAndre and Austin Rivers. Get it.
Coach won't get rid of his son. Come on now.
Come on, man.
He gave him that big contract.
You're like their best player right now.
Cut the umbilical cord, man.
So it's really hard to find a suitor for DeAndre Jordan right now.
But look at the guys that they're talking about. Trade him to the Cavs for Tristan Thompson.
Nope.
Yeah, which I already said is, if Tristan Thompson goes to LA, that's the end of his career. He's done. He's toast. Like, he's already not having as good of a year. Like, his career has just kind of...
The curse is real, my friend.
It's not a contract year for him. Why does he have to show up?
his career has become crestfallen after signing that contract. He's like, all right, sign my big contract. I'm dating Kardashian.
He got paid, and then he started dating Kardashian. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's. I think he's checked out of his NBA life. So it's who can they trade for? Like, they have to just pretty much say, well, fuck it. We're trading for assets. We're trading for
the future
rights. Yeah, rights to players overseas. We're trading for draft picks. We're just trading to trade. Like, to
stay relevant.
Thinking about it, I think a good suitor might be the Chicago Bulls. Because they have Lauri Markkanen, who is a 7-footer who can step out and shoot. So he would be able to spread the floor. You would have 2 7-footers on the floor with him.
No way the Bulls are giving up him, though.
No, I'm not saying they're giving up him. But they're bad. Yeah. So give up your first-round pick. Yeah. Or give up a
first-round pick and Robin Lopez.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is give up Robin Lopez, who is a suitable big. But then the problem is that DeAndre Jordan's on an expiring contract, so you have to be able to sign him long term. And I think the only team, we talked about this team last week, and we actually went through the whole GM thing. The Dallas Mavericks, who he was already flirting with signing until they got locked in a room with Blake and CP3. the Dallas Mavericks might have a good chance of signing him.
You think Mark Cuban's really gonna go through that shit again?
Yeah.
If they trade and sign an extension, because the extension has to be done. Like if I'm Mark Cuban, if I'm Rick Carlisle, and whoever I think Donnie Nelson might still be their GM. If I'm the Mavs, I'm like, look, Clippers, we wanted him a couple years ago. We'll trade for him. I don't have their roster anymore.
You're not going to get anything at all.
Well, the Mavs have to sign an extension. If you sign an extension with DeAndre Jordan, you have your big man set up. And I was saying that with your first pick is going to be probably top 5, and you're going to get a guy like DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona, Marvin Bagley, one of those top guys to fill up with Harrison Barnes and Dennis Smith. But you never know how those guys are going to pan out. And if there's a way of getting DeAndre Jordan without giving up the number 1 pick, which I don't think there is.
There's no way.
I mean, maybe give up Harrison Barnes, trade Harrison Barnes.
Because you're probably talking about you're giving up your number 1 pick, J.J. Barea, Wesley Matthews, or probably get a third team involved.
Yeah,
that could throw some other assets in there.
But the Mavs are one of the few teams where I think DeAndre would sign a long-term extension with, because I think if it comes down and he does go to a team like the Bulls, who I just mentioned, I don't think he's signing with them long term. Yeah. And the Bulls can't give up assets; they need all their assets. So you would have to try to trade him to a team that is in contention for a championship. And the Cavs are pretty much the only team that would need a guy like DeAndre Jordan, because the Spurs don't need a guy like DeAndre Jordan because, one, we can't give up pieces for him. I don't think we have a piece like a way of trading for DeAndre Jordan, because you don't want to lose the pieces that you do have that are valuable. People were mentioning
Pau Gasol,
Andrew. People were mentioning Danny Green and LaMarcus Aldridge being traded in the offseason. Those two guys are valuable assets to a team that can win a championship. They can help a team win a championship. Danny Green's done it in the past, and with a little better luck, LaMarcus might have been able to do it over the last couple seasons. We just have to deal with teams like the Warriors.
If you're the Clippers and you get a call from Milwaukee and they said they'll give you Jabari Parker, Middleton, and either a pick or Maker.
Oh, the Clippers do that in a heartbeat.
Why would Milwaukee even do that?
The Bucks wouldn't do that, though.
The Bucks are rumored to be
they would
trade suitor for DeAndre Jordan.
They can't give up that much.
Even though
they are.
Jabari Parker,
Jabari Parker's fine. I'm fine. But once you threw in their only credible 3-point shooter, that's Chris Middleton is their only credible 3-point shooter.
But he hardly shoots threes anyways.
Because they don't need to, but he can. And Thon Maker can shoot, but I don't think Milwaukee should trade anything, because they're a work in progress, because the Greek Freak hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's just now becoming this guy. Think about what Kawhi was the season after he won Finals MVP, the 14-15 season, and then going forward. The 14-15 season was this year's Greek Freak. So next year and the year after that, you're going to see a guy who could possibly be named the best player in basketball.
If he gets that shot right.
And DeAndre Jordan would not help.
Why not? Anchor that. Well, I mean, Henson is the anchor right now.
He would help defensively, but Henson has, I think, a better all-around offensive game.
Yeah, he does.
DeAndre Jordan's more explosive, can get the alley-oops, Lob City. But like, there's just DeAndre Jordan is a niche player right now. Like, there are teams that need that niche player. The Bucks aren't one of them because their offense and their team is revolved around getting into the lane and getting layups with the pieces that they have being able to spread the floor that as limited as they are, and they're all really young. And I don't think DeAndre Jordan's that old. I think he's like 27, maybe 28 tops.
All right, so if the Raptors calls you and gives you Valanciunas,
oh, that would be, yeah,
I would do that trade.
yeah, and their first, because their first isn't going to be a lottery pick. Because then you'd have Serge and DeAndre on defense. But I don't think he signs a long-term deal, and that's what's tricky, is who is going to be able to trade for him and keep him. And because that's going to be where you have your best trade for. Like a team, as I said, like the Mavs, who he might actually stay with and sign an extension. But
Does that make them like a playoff team?
Not this year, no. But
no, I mean like overall, like if he goes to the Mavs, like you said, would that be a playoff team? Like going to Toronto, they're already a playoff team.
It depends on what you have to give up. Like that's really the
Mavs
thing.
Going to have to give up a lot, or they need to get a third team involved.
If the Mavs can trade. Really, if the Mavs can trade anybody on their roster outside of Dirk Nowitzki and Dennis Smith, because I only say outside of Dirk because they're not trading Dirk.
Well, then if you trade Harrison Barnes, you're just in the same boat as you are when you were with the Clippers.
But what I was saying is, if you can trade Harrison Barnes and let's say Wes Matthews and a second-round pick, don't trade that first. It's valuable. In a second-round pick, you go to the same boat that I was saying last week when we did this, is now you take a guy who like Michael Porter out of Missouri, who just got hurt for the season, but he's a Ben Simmons type player. He's 6'10", 6'11", can handle, can get into the lane, can shoot. He's a better shooting Ben Simmons, and you line him up with Dennis Smith and DeAndre Jordan, that's a playoff team, because you're also going to be able to fill out the rest of the roster. Wes Matthews is a role player right now, and you're replacing Harrison Barnes with a younger, better Harrison Barnes and a cheaper Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, that's too much variables. I mean, if I'm the Clippers and the Mavericks come calling, like, I want that number one pick. Like,
the whole DeAndre Jordan trade is a variable. That is, everything is based off of a variable. And there are a few teams in the NBA that I think can make a deal for him that is worth it on both sides. So unless the Clippers just want him gone, he's an expiring contract. So the only teams that I think might want to trade for him are teams that are looking at getting cap off the books. So it goes to maybe what Andrew just said. If the Spurs can swing a deal with Pau Gasol for DeAndre Jordan, like Pau Gasol, first round pick, and fuck it, DeJounte Murray, like
maybe Brent Forbes.
Yeah, there are. Because
I can't do with y'all.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, again, dog. Hey, Michael Jordan said so himself.
Again, this is all like that's one of the teams that even if he doesn't sign a long-term deal, they're getting Pau Gasol's contract off the books. If they don't sign DeAndre, they don't have DeAndre to worry about signing. So now you open up a shit ton of cap space to be able to sign LeBron James. But because that's one of the...
I'm just saying, like...
And then on top of that, CP3's contract would be up next year, too. So 2 banana boats come into San Antonio. Riding that banana boat down the Riverwalk. We will let you have that in your contract.
Well, what's their commercial for
HEB?
CP3 and DeAndre Jordan. Was it State Farm?
State Farm.
State Farm.
Yeah, so you're going to have the State Farm crew together?
But I wasn't saying that that's a legitimate option, but that would have to be one of the things that teams would look at to trade for the Clippers. Like, okay, well, we don't think we're going to re-sign DeAndre Jordan, so we need to you trade a piece that you don't want the contract anymore. You say you're tired of having Mike Conley if you're the Grizzlies, and you just signed him to that big deal.
Grizzlies tired of Mike Conley.
Hypothetical.
I know. I was like, you give it that example. Alvin's eyes went, what?
Calm down. Hypothetically, like you get tired. You're like, shit. We have this guy for 3 more years on this contract. Like Toronto with DeMar DeRozan. Like he signed a big contract for a long time, and I don't think he's a top 2 player on a championship team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you got DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, and DeAndre Jordan. You tell me DeAndre Jordan wouldn't sign long term with Toronto?
No, but I'm saying
and you're in the East.
You have to trade DeMar DeRozan because you don't want that contract. That's what I'm saying is a team would have to be like, all right, we have a bad contract. We do not want this guy for 3 more years at $18 million. DeAndre's on an expiring. So we trade this guy with a bad contract to the Clippers. We get DeAndre. We don't re-sign him. Now all that cap space is completely cleared up. And that's something that a team like the Spurs could do with Pau Gasol. They I think re-signed Pau for 2 more years at $16 million apiece. They don't want him for 2 years at $16 million. I barely want him this year. And if you can get DeAndre Jordan out of it, like DeAndre Jordan is way more valuable to the Spurs than Pau Gasol.
And you think the Clippers are going to want Pau Gasol?
But the
Clippers are going to want something for DeAndre.
Yeah,
I know.
You're tanking. Yeah, you're. If you trade DeAndre, you're pretty much saying, "Look, we're going to be bad this year. We're going to just keep our first round pick.
We're going to bench.
We're going to get one of those. We're going to get one of those top 5 guys because we have Blake's out for a while. Patrick Beverley's out for the season. Trading DeAndre. Danilo's out for a while. I think Lou Williams is like one of their only healthy guys.
Yeah.
And you pretty much say, look, we're not making the playoffs. Even if we make the playoffs, we're going to be a 6 to 8 seed. We're not going to get out of the first round. Why go into the purgatory that's the 6 to 8 seed in the playoffs just for the bonus check?
Why do we want to be Memphis?
Exactly. So you trade. I don't know if Powell's on a player or a team option, what his contract is, but say he's on a player option. You trade DeAndre on an expiring for Pau Gasol and whoever. Again, all hypothetical. You get guys like Davis Bertans or DeJounte Murray or Bryn Forbes, young guys who have shown value and might be able to help. Like Bertans would probably get a lot more play time for the Clippers, and he's a guy that they've needed for a while. A 6'8" to 7 footer who can shoot threes,
AKA Danilo Gallinari.
Yeah, but younger and less injury prone. And probably more of a hard ass because Bertans doesn't take shit from anybody.
Because he's Latvian.
They got it rough over there.
Dog, they eat potatoes and shit.
Grimy.
Just nothing but potatoes.
So
trading sisters
like
for
as much as I think
trading sisters for groceries.
Yeah, as much as I think Bertans is a valuable player, and I wish he would get more playtime for the Spurs.
Mean, man.
If you turn Bertans, Pau Gasol, and DeJounte Murray into DeAndre Jordan, I think that the Spurs with DeAndre, LaMarcus Aldridge, Danny Green, Kawhi, and Tony as your starting 5.
Rudy Gay,
Manu, Patty coming off the bench with Kyle Anderson. The only thing that the Spurs really don't have is a backup big man. Joffrey Laverne is really their backup big.
Real question is will he enjoy the Riverwalk as much as Charles Barkley does.
You talking about DeAndre?
Yeah.
Man, DeAndre loves food.
DeAndre's from Texas. Like, I'm sure
So he loves the big women.
he's
I don't know his taste in women. There's not just big women in San Antonio though.
I know that was proven when
You an asshole, dude.
I think
Fucked up.
I think DeAndre would be fine in San Antonio, and
He can listen to Tupac,
like he can't listen to Tupac out there in LA.
but Dave, he can listen to it here too. That's why he's like,
Yeah.
oh man, they play Tupac. They got a throwback station in San Antonio.
we're only like 2.5 hours away from his hometown.
Really?
Yeah, dog.
So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why LaMarcus came to San Antonio. It's because of how close it was to his home.
Oh yeah, I know LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah.
DeAndre is from outside of Houston.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He went to A&M.
Yeah, man. Read a book.
Damn it.
So there's
Hand me that book over there right now. I'm gonna start.
Writer's Market.
I just thinking about it and just discussing it like we did, I don't see how they trade DeAndre Jordan.
We told him how. They just gotta follow through.
We just gave plenty scenarios right now.
Let me text Doc and be like, hey, here are your options. Pick one.
I'll text RC right now. Tell Pal to start packing. Tell Pal to start palking.
Boo. Boo.
I would say mute his mic, but we only got one mic.
But like, I mean, it might be a little collusion, but I won't say anything. But Doc should be like, fuck. I just want the Warriors to lose, to not make the finals. How can I make this happen? Send them, no, not make the finals. I don't want them to make the finals. Like, send them to Houston. Hey, who's your 12th man, Houston?
We'll
Yeah,
give you
we got
CP3 again.
We'll send you CP3.
Like, San Antonio, you have an opportunity to beat them if you get DeAndre and get Powell over
Joffrey
here.
Laverne, never heard of him. Take him.
Might be a little collusion, but like,
Great.
don't you think that Doc playing in San Antonio for a little while and knowing the Spurs have a chance of beating the Warriors if they just get that one little thing,
Give me Eric Gordon and Capella.
that would make the Rockets are off the books because you can only do three things if you play for the Rockets.
Hey, the Rockets.
Shoot threes, shoot free throws, and dunk, and he can only do one of those.
Hey.
He does something that they don't do in Houston.
Lift off in H-Town?
He would-
What?
He does things they don't do in Houston. Do
Oh.
defense. What?
Damn it.
That's
Damn
true.
it.
But so
That's a fish out of water. I play great defense. What's that?
I don't want you to block the ball.
Oh, you mean when the other team scores? We do that pretty good too.
well, hey, they could be like, all right, here's our plan. We only have one guy who can play defense. We just traded for him. His name's DeAndre Jordan. James, CP3,
Keep away.
Ryan Anderson?
Trevor Ariza, Ryan Anderson, don't even cross half court, all right? Just stay on the offensive side. DeAndre, you're going to have to do this 1-on-5, all right?
Since you're so good at defense, play defense. You want to play defense? Cool. Make sure you pass it past half court once you get the rebound.
Just Hail Mary.
Come on, Aaron Rodgers. We'll be waiting.
So enough of the DeAndre Jordan trade talk, because that was one guy, one trade talk, and it lasted for like 20 minutes, and it could go longer. I was gonna say let's get to the NFL suspensions with Gronk and Juju and Iloka, but you know it's the NFL, and the only one that I feel like was really bad and uncalled for was the Gronk one. Like, Juju, yes, broke the rules, did a crackback block, but it's in the play. He just, he went high. He's a wide receiver playing for the Steelers. Probably he's like, I want to be Hines Ward. And like in your Steelers Bengals is known to be a physical kind of bloody
rivalry.
Yeah. So it and that was again that was a legal play 5 years ago. Iloka hitting Antonio Brown, he's trying to prevent a touchdown. Antonio Brown's 5'6". He's a small target jumping up in the air, and so George, I think Iloka, I think he's listed at 6 foot.
Right.
That's what cleats stand on concrete where they don't sink into the field.
With the helmet.
With the helmet
on. But so he's jumping up in the air. Iloka's trying to
close enough, 5'10".
Make a hit.
Same thing with the helmet on.
He's trying to make a hit on Brown to dislodge the ball, prevent a touchdown. And Iloka, I think, is 6'3". He's a big, strong safety, and he just happens to go helmet to helmet and go high. If he would have gone low, he would have taken out his knees, and that he would have been flagged for that too. So those two, the Juju and Iloka plays, they deserve to have a suspension because we said it. I said it early in the season when we started this podcast, is that the NFL needs to crack down and they need to start just suspending players, so that you start affecting their paycheck. They're going to think twice about doing that, and it might make for the less entertaining football because a lot of people love football for the hits. But what Gronk did was plays over.
That was out of frustration.
He's mad because Tom Brady threw a pass that wasn't far enough. It was already a bad pass by Brady. Gronk was being boxed out by a Bills player who made a pretty terrific interception.
Could have been defensive.
It could have been pass interference.
That's
but
either near
Gronk could be called for offensive pass interference
half the time.
7 of his 10 routes. So the guy's on the ground, intercepted, out of bounds, laying face down on the ground. And this is 5 seconds later, he sees him on the ground and loads up and just dives into
drops him with the people's elbow.
Yeah. So it was the Eddie Guerrero frog splash.
R.I.P.
So that one should have been 2 games. At least 2 games.
And he appealed it too.
Yeah.
You have to. It's just, if you're a player, you have to. Just like even when the Players Association knows they're wrong, they have to back the players. You have to.
Show. Louis Riddick said today, the Gronk thing was egregious. It was bad. It was, people were like, this is one of the worst hits I've seen in football, just because of how he did it, when he did it, and what he did it to. It would have been, people wouldn't have been this enraged if he would have belly flopped on his calves. But he's 6'7", 270 or something like that.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
And he's diving with his shoulder pads into the back of a dude's neck.
But at the same time, this is also the league that doesn't take size into account. Even if you're talking about Cam Newton taking headshots.
It's, the facts don't matter in the world, I guess, anymore. And science isn't real.
Well, that Bills player he had a go out the game too, right?
Yeah.
Concussion protocol.
Same thing with Vontaze Burfict, though. Even though he was I'm fine. But that's just Vontaze Burfict. And I forgot who said it, but it's once that concussion word got thrown out there, then people were like, okay, this was really serious. But, you have to start cracking down on these things. Because one, say you suspend Gronk for 4 games like just right off the bat, like you play was over, guy was on the ground, you dove at the back of his neck, 4 games, and he appeals it. But like it has to be 4 games, like just right there, because then the guys like Juju and Iloka, who are in the middle of play, just trying to make a play for their team, yes, it was penalized. How are you going to suspend them 1 game for doing something like that when this guy was suspended 1 game doing something like he did?
Malicious.
So how can you say those are the same exact thing? Yeah. What Gronk and what Juju did were the same exact thing. Yes, they had the same.
Malicious and out of emotion.
They had the same result as far as they knocked the guy out of the game, but one was I'm trying to make a play for my team. I just accidentally hit the guy high.
Because imagine if he hit him in like in the chest areas.
Yeah, it still would have been a flag.
But it wouldn't be no suspension warranty. It would have been like, it's just a crackback. Like, can't do that.
So you have to be able to start saying, all right, well, you did this, so it's 4 games right off the bat. You did this, all right, it's 2 games off the bat. You have to start setting that precedent, which is what I said about Zeke. Like your name gets thrown out and like sexual harassment or like spousal abuse or any of that, like you deserve to be suspended, because like yes, it might not be true, it might not be, but while during the suspension you can go to the court, like fight the judicial system, like try to prove your innocence. But you like trying to do that and play football is a tough thing to do. That's why like he didn't look right the first few weeks of the season, because he was doing all of that. Then the judicial system, like he was done with it. But now
they were done with him from the beginning because nothing was ever charged.
Yeah. So like, and that is the Zeke thing is a tricky situation, which we've discussed.
The NFL things are bigger than the law.
It's
obviously, even when the law said like, no.
But it affects the word, like the sentence Ezekiel Elliott sexual harassment lawsuit, like whatever,
domestic
violence, like the NFL, the people watching the NFL is like, this isn't, we can't watch players and support players like this. People already have a tough time supporting the NFL with guys being completely lawful and kneeling during the national anthem. So like domestic violence and all sorts of the drugs and all the stuff off the field issues that the NFL has. Like I compared it to the NBA from the early 2000s. Like you have an image problem, fix your fucking image.
Steve Nash.
Yeah, have a shaggy-haired white guy be the face of the league for like 2 years.
Coming to press conferences and flip-flops.
Not a guy with tattoos and cornrows.
Yeah. We don't need no guy with a fucking grill going and talking.
What's wrong with that?
We don't need a running back in Oakland going hyphy on the sidelines.
Hey, but we got a whole team in New York that went hyphy on the field.
So let's go ahead and get into our hot knot lock of the week.
What you call it?
Sloppy toppy, going with the jockey.
Straight from the jockey.
And you gotta grab your shit when you say it too.
Grab the jock. Right here.
So as we do every week, starting with the hot pick of the week, mine is Baker Mayfield. He pretty much wrapped up the Heisman. I don't think that Lamar Jackson, they're not going to give a 2-time award winner anymore. It's just not going to happen. You have to be absolutely out of your mind good on a great team. And he was out of his mind good on a mediocre team this year. So he's not going to win it. And Bryce Love was out of his mind good for, again, another kind of mediocre team. Even though they ended up ranked number 15 and they had a chance to win the Pac-12. Like they always discuss Heisman moments, and Baker Mayfield had his at Ohio State stamping like the flag in the logo. Conference championship set the
grabbing the jockey.
Yeah, grabbing the jockey.
Yeah.
He just, he was. I hate to use this guy as the comparison. I do think Baker Mayfield's better. I don't see him being an NFL quarterback though.
I was like, I hope you're not going with who I think you're going.
But he's he had a Johnny Manziel season.
He did.
He had a Johnny Manziel season. He had such a great offensive season. They beat everybody but Iowa State. And like the Iowa State team, they always get somebody good.
Oh, that was when they was like hot for like 3 weeks straight.
But yeah, Iowa State always gets
everybody.
Iowa State always gets somebody in the top 5. Like if there's a Big 12 team in the top 5, they're beating them. They usually do it at home, so on the road was a little weird. But other than that, Baker Mayfield, I think he put up 62 on Oklahoma State. He didn't even start the game against West Virginia, and he put up 42.5.
Let alone that it was just only 2 plays that he did.
Yeah, it's just he put up some unreal numbers this season. He's going to win the Heisman, and he broke the Big 12 conference championship game record with I think he threw 4 touchdowns, which is kind of crazy thinking about it. Big 12's known for their offense and known for their quarterbacks, and 4 touchdowns is the conference championship game record. He's my hot of the week, and he has something to take care of against Georgia here in a month. Andrew, your turn.
My hot pick?
Yeah, your hot pick.
We got the New York Football Giants.
What?
Finally getting rid of Ben McAdoo.
I almost put them as my not because of just the whole debacle.
Yeah,
This is their best move they've done. This is the best thing that's happened to them all year.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of bad, and I like to be the devil's advocate because I was saying Ben McAdoo should have been fired 2 weeks ago, but it's kind of the Jason Garrett situation. It's all right, you were good last year when everything went right and you had a healthy team and everything was going fine. There were no issues. Jason Garrett last year, everything was going fine, no issues. A few years ago when Jason Garrett went 10-6 or whatever with DeMarco Murray, everything was going fine, no issues. But then once you hit adversity and once issues start coming into the fold, they fold. Yeah. Quicker than a poker player with 2-7 offsuit.
Who was it? Yeah, the DRC that left the team for a week.
Eli Apple got suspended for a week. Their entire receiving core got hurt. They don't have a running back. They don't have a running back. They don't have an O-line. So it's
they got an Eli.
But somebody. But
he's gonna be the starter because they fired him. It was Eli's our starter.
Eli's back.
Well,
bye, Gino.
I would so on top of that, they did fire Jerry Reese, their GM. So that's a sign pointing forward. Even though he's been with the team since '93, I think I heard he'd been with the team for 24 years. But yeah, it was a highlight week.
It's enough to get a pension.
Even losing to the Raiders, getting rid of Ben McAdoo and making the move and just saying, all right, we need to go forward. We need to it might as well do it now.
It was weird though because the Giants don't do it during the season.
In the middle of the season, yeah. Well, I mean, their season's over, so technically.
Well, I guess, yeah.
It's not like beating the Raiders would have made their season any better.
It would have made it worse.
Hey, it would have
made it worse.
Unless you're talking to McAdoo, what are you saying? I still got hope in these guys that we could turn it around. We could turn it around, guys.
No, you don't want to turn it around. It's too late. You're out of playoff contention, man. It's time to play for that draft pick.
Yeah, which again, as I've said, I think they need to trade for a bunch of draft picks because they have a lot of holes.
Oh yeah, too many holes.
So Alvin, it is your turn.
My hot is Josh Gordon. Welcome back.
Now, is he hot because he's just blazed, or is it?
It could be a little bit of both. It could be a little bit of both.
Right. I just want to make sure because
I probably blazed with him. Don't know. But on serious, like you've been out the game for like 2 to 3 years, and you come back, 4 receptions, 84 yards. You still showing like you still got it. You still got game. Like somebody to come back from a 2-3 years like staying without playing football and you ball out, like wow.
I could see Terrell Owens coming back and being able to put up those numbers.
But he's a physical beast though. Like Terrell Owens, he's a physical guy.
Same with Josh Gordon, because Josh Gordon is the same size as T.O. Like
he's like 6'4", 225.
And the dude ran like I think he ran like a 4.35 40 at the combine when he was coming out. Man, like he could run. He was
balling while being stoned throughout the whole entire game, bro.
Drunk and high at the same time.
Now he's sober and still balling, and
sober,
he's only 20.
Air quotes.
Sober.
So that we know of. But seriously, and he's only 26.
That's the crazy.
Young. Yeah,
that's the crazy part.
He's still young.
I feel like he's been around the league for forever. 7 years.
Oh, because you always hear about how he's suspended for another year.
Yeah,
exactly. But he's only 26. Comes back, shows that he can still ball out. Like I had to just.
I'm trying to pick him up in my fantasy league because I it's not that I necessarily need him, but I would rather have him and drop somebody like some of the Lions receivers I have on my team because I don't want the other people in my league to pick him up.
But look how good he made Kaiser.
I picked him up too.
You saw how Kaiser was that game, like knowing that you got a baller like that.
Yeah, he had 2 turnovers that came in the last 5 minutes of the game, and that was it.
Yeah.
So he was having a decent game. So,
no, game changer. That's all I can say.
Yeah, if he's able to continue like his career with having no issues off of the field like he has had, he's gonna he's probably gonna climb up that ladder again of best receivers in the league because of that just physical presence and specimen that he is. So follow it up, Alvin. Who's your knot of the week?
Man, I could go so many ways with the knots. First, I gotta say to you, I'm so disappointed in that showing, man.
I'm so disappointed in you.
So disappointed. The balls, we could always point them out for not like every fucking week, like
every second of every day.
Like they're just a whole entire mess when it comes to fucking basketball.
Life. They're a mess when it comes to life.
And then you can also say the Giants too, the way like they handle the whole Eli Manning situation, like benching him and all that stuff. Like for Geno Smith, like
yeah, that was an issue. Now get to your real knot.
My real knot is the U because also I couldn't even watch the whole entire game. That's how bad it was.
Did a single tear come out your eye?
A man tear did drop. And then fucking Clemson, I want to get them back because they cut the U chain for that L.
That was the best. That was in contention for my hot pick.
I'll see you, Clemson mofos.
I was like, oh shit, they still got the turnover chain. They just turned over half of it.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say in about 3 weeks when we do our lock of the week, somebody's going to pick Alabama over Clemson as his lock of the week.
No, because I hate Bama more than Clemson.
Nah,
it's talking about me.
So, yeah, the U. I mean, that was kind of the team that a lot of people thought they were.
You want to start?
Like the U being back right now under Mark Richt's first season, like they're only going to get better going forward. So, like
he recruits guys, and he's recruiting within Broward County, Dade County.
He usually lands a top 3 quarterback in the recruiting class.
Yeah. And I knew like the offense wasn't good. I mean, bad on third downs, bad in the red zone, and then if they don't have the run game going, like the pass game's not going, so they relied on the defense too much to get those turnovers.
I mean, their starting running back at the beginning of the season got hurt.
Yeah, so
I they're only going to get better, and honestly, going on record now, I think they win the ACC next year.
Definitely. The swag is back.
It's on tape, so
yeah.
The swag is back, at least on defense. If we get the swag back on offense,
swag.
All right, so the U turn it around, win your bowl game, win the ACC next year.
Yes,
Andrew, you're up.
Sloppy pick. Went kind of, I guess, unconventional.
I'm a fan of unconventional.
what?
My not pick. I got Russia.
Whoop, whoop.
Officially banned from the Winter Olympics in February.
For the doping.
It's crazy. Have y'all seen the documentary?
No, I haven't seen the documentary.
Icarus?
Well, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, y'all need to watch it for real.
I was pulling up in my driveway today, and I was listening to the Rosillo show, and they were talking about Russia being banned.
The IOC came down and said they're all banned.
They were sneaking.
But it's just for the Winter Olympics, right?
Yeah, Winter Olympics.
Well, they were sneaking into people's competitors' rooms
overnight, messing with urine samples, B samples.
Yeah.
They fucking tampered with everything.
They switched out urine samples from dirty samples to clean samples from their athletes.
It's all in that documentary.
Putin, you got something to say, Putin?
But yeah, so Icarus.
I did it. I'll do it
Russia
again.
Russia taking the biggest L. There will be no Russian flag, no Russian national anthem, no Russian players. If there's
let's be honest here. There will be. It just comes in stars and stripes this year.
If there are any Russians that are wanting to compete in the Olympics, they have to go through all this extra drug testing. They have to go neutral colors, pretty much like an independent.
Yeah, they had a summer Olympian a couple years ago was an independent.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like that.
They flew the Olympic flag and they wore Olympic.
You know what it reminds me of? I think a couple of years ago in the Olympics when I think it was China. During they had those young girls.
They're
just dominating the
10-year-old gymnastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Chinese girls
and the divers.
Yeah, but didn't they get caught for something because of that? Those are how is this fucking possible?
For being Chinese.
Yeah, I think that was
and good.
It got brought up I think 6 years ago.
Yeah. And
they kind of started cracking down on it a few years ago.
I forgot what was the exact cause, but they were cracking down on China over that mess.
Yeah, that Winter Olympics in Russia thing was...
And then the World Cup next year is going to be Russia.
Yep.
Money rules. So, I mean, my not is, we already talked about it, the College Football Playoff Committee. You're my not. Get Alabama out of the fucking college football playoff.
Either up their schedule, difficulty, either up that up or win the freaking conference championship to get into the freaking playoffs.
Come up with solid rules. Have a fucking checklist. Be like, all right, conference champion, number 1. I think we can all agree. That's number 1. Win your conference, Power 5 conferences, win your conference, you're in.
Yeah.
That should be rule number 1.
Simple.
Rule number 1.
Well, they have something. I mean, they're more like guidelines.
Guidelines.
Rule number 2 can be...
Guidelines are gray areas. Okay.
Rule number 2 can be if conference champion has less loss or more losses than a non-conference champion,
but the
strength of schedule it wins out.
Yeah.
Which,
But who's to decide strength of schedule? You can't really decide it unless you put
BPI or whatever it is, RPI.
Man, give me that fake numbers shit.
What?
Yeah, there's statistics for everything. But yeah, come up with a list of rules to decide who gets in there. So next year we know. All right, well,
Oh, bless me.
Bless you.
Ohio State won their conference, they're in. Like, it's that simple to me. But also go to an 18 playoff. You'll make this a whole lot easier
On themselves.
And yes, you're going to have, no matter what, you're always going to have, like, oh, well, this team should have been in over this team, and this team should have been in over this team.
But if it was an 18, like, I feel that would be a lot less.
No, because you're still going to have a 9 and a 10.
You're still going to have a 9 and a 10.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about from a 9 and 10 compared to what's Ohio at?
Who's
5 and a 6.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That
That
won the conference championship.
So who would be the 9 and 10 this year? Miami and TCU.
That's why he wants it, because Miami's
Not
9
even
and 10.
TCU, because TCU was ranked 11. So you have USC, you have Georgia, you have Auburn, you have Miami. Like, you have kind of a top 8 that's kind of easy to
right
pick. So you can go to an 18 playoff and you will have the issues, but you won't have the issue of conference champion over, or a non-conference champion over a conference champion. You'll have, and like, you know what? For shits and giggles, throw a mid-major. The highest ranked mid-major gets to go and play as the 8 seed. Like, fuck it. Why can't UCF go and play Clemson in round 1?
And just route them.
See what they can do. Like, if UCF,
Like March Madness, baby.
yeah, see what they can do. Have some fun with it. It's college football. It's college athletics. Like, have fun. Like, don't worry. Like, the money will come. Don't worry about the money, guys.
Have fun.
Oh, I'm having tons of fun.
So let's get to our lock of the week and then get out of here. Let's start with Andrew.
Oh, starting with me. I've got Eagles taking back-to-back L's, losing to the Rams this week. Playing in LA.
Playing at a home field. Because, come on.
Fool's gold.
I think that fool's gold.
That fool's gold.
I mean, we know how I feel about them. I do call them fool's gold. I think the Rams are a solid team.
I want to say that I think the Eagles lose, but the problem for me is the Rams' biggest strength is their offense. The Eagles' biggest strength is their defense. And if you look at what the Rams did to one of the best teams that they've played this season, whose biggest strength was their defense, they put up, 9 points on Minnesota? 7? Like,
I think that's a different caliber defense compared to the Eagles.
Fletcher Cox.
I know the Eagles.
Malcolm Jenkins.
No, they got some dudes, but Vikings have always been like.
That's a defensive team.
Yeah, they always been that defensive team that's like they got that defense that's near Seattle's defense. Like they always.
I wouldn't go there.
I said near. I said near.
The Vikings. The Vikings defense this year is better than the Seahawks defense.
Well, this year now because you're missing.
No, even
you got Legion of BO.
If
there ain't no OM.
If the Seahawks defense was fully healthy, Minnesota's defense is still better. You know why? Xavier Rhodes is younger than Richard Sherman, more explosive, and doesn't have to hold every single down.
Damn.
They have
Shots fired.
Bang bang.
I think they have a better front seven. Well, no, Seahawks definitely have a better front seven.
Now they got Richardson.
Because Sheldon Richardson, Michael Bennett, like Bobby Wagner is possibly, I think, the best linebacker in football.
Oh yeah.
Like Bobby Wagner is a monster.
That's the reason why he won the MVP on that Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl MVP.
Bobby Wagner didn't get it.
No, it was Malcolm.
No, it was Irvin.
No.
The guy who, God, who was it?
I could have sworn it was Wagner.
No, it was not Irvin.
We're gonna put some elevator music here.
Do 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 do.
Malcolm Smith.
Yeah.
Oh. Alright. I thought it was Wagner. Alright, cool. Cool.
I mean, Bobby Wagner probably could have got it, but like KJ Wright is a monster. But Bobby Wagner is all over the field. In Earl Thomas, like the Vikings defense, I think is better this year than the Seahawks defense as a whole. But the Seahawks defense is legit too. I don't know how, if the Rams can't stop the Eagles, how the Rams are going to score enough points. Like, the Rams defense has to step up big to beat the Eagles. So we'll see how that goes. But that's your lock, and that'll be a big win.
That's going with the jockey.
Go.
Straight from the jock. Alvin, you're up.
My lock is that the Seattle Mariners, by the end of this week, will sign Ohtani.
The Mariners?
Yes. We'll sign Ohtani by the end of this week.
Okay.
We'll see.
Cool.
Seattle's on the top of the list right now.
I feel like Ohtani's list is like half of the league right now.
It's down to like 15 teams, dude.
That's not half the league.
I know.
All I'm glad is that the Yankees are out, because he said they're not a small market team. So I'm like,
He wants a small market team?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I saw that he might sign with like an AL West team or a West Coast team. And
Yeah,
he's
it's the
looking at the
Rangers. He looked at the Astros. He turned them down. Seattle, the Angels. He's going to talk to the Padres. I mean, but I don't think
an interesting choice.
I don't think the Angels are a small market team. I think
Maybe because there's like 5 teams in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But like, I think he sees Seattle and he sees how Ichiro did in Seattle. Like, I think that's gonna.
Yeah.
Maybe he sees Texas because everyone loves it.
Well, I mean,
No,
you Darvish.
Not everyone loves it.
You Darvish love Texas.
Yeah, and he choked in the World Series. Just like how the Texas Rangers choked in the World Series those 2 times they were there.
I wouldn't say choked. They were just outplayed.
Josh Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all I gotta say.
What about him?
Just Josh Hamilton.
What about him?
Hey,
Hey.
he is a Rangers legend. They soaked him in ginger ale when they went to the World Series.
Hell yeah, they did.
Yeah, they
And then he sipped some champagne and signed
Went on a
different
bender.
team. Never was the same.
This tastes so good once it touches your lips.
Started with ginger ale, said, man, this tastes kind of reminds me of champagne. Oh shit, it is. Wait, how did I get in the strip club? Where does cocaine come from?
Wow, man, LA.
So Ohtani with the Mariners.
Yes, with the Mariners.
That'll be a good pickup for
And
him.
I think he's going to be a DH instead of a pitcher. Even though his pitching stats is great, but his hitting is also great too. 280 something, 48 home runs. So.
Might as well play him at first base too.
Just everywhere.
Who cares? Yeah, just
I mean,
throw shit all out of whack.
We'll put you wherever you want, just sign.
it's going to be Felix Hernandez, and then it's going to be Ohtani, and then like Ohtani's in DH.
It's gonna
The next game.
It's gonna be like, all right, Ohtani, you're our DH 4 out of 5 games. The 5th game, you're gonna be our starting pitcher. All right, sound good? Cool. Yes, we have a double switch. Ohtani is moving from DH to relief pitcher.
And he still gets like 12 wins.
Go run to the bullpen.
Warm up, hurry up.
You got 30 seconds. But I wanted to go last because I think it's about time Kawhi will return
Oh dear God.
to on the Suns game.
Oh, okay, cool. I was like, he said he's coming back already.
He said
is
he's
it for sure?
Imminent is the quote.
He said he's feeling good. He didn't say anything. He said he's going to return soon. People think they're apparently
after the All-Star break, for God's sakes.
Internally they think that he's going to return during the homestand. You like players to return from injuries at home, but they play the Heat tomorrow and they play Boston on Friday. I don't think you should have him return against either of those teams. Saturday, you go on the road and play.
You guys think he's 100% right now?
Yes,
I think he's been 100% for a couple months now.
We've talked
Not
about
a couple
this.
months, maybe for
weeks. I think he's been 100% for a month. I think he's been ready to go for a month. They were just kind of they wanted to get Parker back because they probably saw that Parker was going to come back.
So is that why you think? Do you think that's why Pop's been so
vague?
Yeah. With all of his answers, because he's like, I don't know what the fuck to say anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it like...
Shit, they asked me again.
I'm looking at it like, how is Parker back so quick and he's still out? Like, that doesn't add up. Is it like, they're just like doing the Strasburg thing? Like, oh God, like, he's hurt. Let's take it real slow, guys. Let's take it easy.
Well, of course, that was part of it.
I gave y'all my conspiracy theorist thing about trying to get LaMarcus Aldridge all set up. Like, make sure he's good and try to figure out how we're going to work the offense around him. Because that's how I think that the Spurs...
How many months in the season already?
2.
Going on 3? Like,
nah, we're like a month and a half in.
What?
Yeah, middle of October.
That's enough time to get the
24 games
accumulated.
We're a quarter of the way through. A little over a quarter of the way through, but no, because you have to get your rotation set up. You have to get a lot more set up than just, hey, LaMarcus, let's see how you do here and here and here.
I think they rushed Tony Parker back because it was DeJounte Murray is starting to look.
They didn't rush him back.
Again, there was Parker, we need you.
No, not at all.
No,
Tony said himself, I'm not coming back till I feel like I could really compete. Yeah, and I mean, he's balling.
Tony Parker pushed himself, I think, harder than he has in his entire career. I mean, he's French, and they like to take it kind of easy.
They like the easy road.
Yeah, I mean,
they like kick back, glass of wine.
I think that
I
mean, laissez-faire is the term. They you know
what else is the term? Menage a trois.
Knew you were going. But yeah, so they got Parker back, which allowed them to get into a better rotation and let Parker figure out where he needs to get LaMarcus the ball. So now Parker understands, like, all right, this is what I can do with LaMarcus, because Kawhi is adaptable. Like, he can do anything on the court, which makes him, like, there are certain players in the league that can fit into anywhere. Like, just, they can play any position, they can do anything on the court. And Kawhi's one of those guys. Kevin Durant and LeBron James are both some of those guys that you just kind of put pieces around and say, all right, Kawhi, this is what we need you to do. And he'll be able to do it. I don't know how much of an ego he has. He seems to not really...
He's from Riverside. There's no ego there.
He seems to really kind of not have... He seems to really only care about winning. And...
He has that Tim Duncan demeanor. You saw,
he cares.
No facial expressions and all that.
He cares about winning, but like he doesn't care how he wins as long as like if he's a detriment to the team, like it's kind of what Tim Duncan had said. Like once I feel like I'm not helping the team and I'm hurting the team, I'm walking away. And Kawhi seems to be that way, where like he only wants to help the team, and he's so good at basketball that his way of helping the team, it seems, might be, let the offense run through LaMarcus until you have a breakdown and we need to make a play, and focus on defense. Be that lockdown defender. We're going to need him to be a better defender than an offensive player, I think, this season. Which he normally is.
He's always going to be that top notch.
But he had such a good offensive season last year that his defensive numbers actually slid, and that's why he wasn't really like discussed as a defensive player of the year, because he was actually.
Well, he was discussed as one of the best two-way players last year.
He is.
Which do we know what that is? Like, if you're best two-way player, you're the best player, right?
That's what I would have thought.
But
I would have thought, yeah.
There's two ways to basketball, and if you're the best two-way basketball,
Yeah.
you're the best.
Exactly.
it's that I think that the way that they try to quantify best two-way player is that he does it on a night-to-night basis. Like, I think we all agree LeBron is the best player in the league, and if LeBron is focused on playing both sides of the ball, he's better than Kawhi. He might not be a better defender. He can be as good of a defender. But offensively, he's better. He might not be as good of a shooter. Each of them have their minor flaws. But when LeBron's honed in, he's the best basketball player. He's the best two-way player. But they're saying two-way player because he does it every single night. He goes out there and he puts up 30 points, gets 4 steals, gets 2 blocks. And guards,
or he makes the block that wins the game.
And he guards the best player on the other team the
entire game.
Actually, he doesn't, but that's more of a strategy than anything.
But he does guard the best player on the opposing team.
Yeah, it depends on the team they play, because Danny Green actually gets the assignment a lot on the best player, offensive player, depending on the team. So, like OKC with Westbrook and Durant, you would see Kawhi start out on off-ball guys like Thabo or whoever, Andre Roberson, and you'd see Danny start on
that was a couple years ago. Like, even this year, he started on Durant.
Yeah, Danny will guard, but last year in the playoffs, even against the Rockets, Danny Green starts on James Harden, and to keep Kawhi fresh, because in the fourth quarter, you know who's on Harden? Kawhi Leonard,
Manu Ginobili.
That's true.
Simmons.
So. Again, that's my lock. Kawhi's going to return against the Suns.
Saturday night.
I think they try to give him an easy game. I mean, Josh Jackson's a really good defender.
The easy games.
Not really.
Could have been the Dallas game.
The Bulls play no defense.
The Bulls are the easiest of the easy games.
But at least the Bulls
they have no
try.
wing. They have no wing player. Like,
no, they don't.
Like, at least the Suns have Josh Jackson, who is possibly the next Kawhi Leonard. Like, he has that skill set and that size. Like, he tries on defense. He's the only guy that tries on defense. So we'll see. But I think he returns for the Suns, and I can't wait to see how the Spurs adapt and go forward, because they could if they figure it out quick. I could see them making a run of a 12-game win streak and kind of jump back up into the number 1 seed mix with Golden State and Houston. And once Kawhi returns, the continuous intrigue of an NBA season just gets more intriguing. So it should be, it'll make for fun TV and fun basketball. The sports are better when all your star players are healthy. So let's wrap that up. As always, I'm here with Alvin Hebert.
Kawhi, want to see you Saturday.
Saturday it is. And Andrew Lara.
You still missing half that you.
Actually, they have both sides. They just turn the other side around, so now there's 2 L's. Because that's how big of an L they took.
Fuck you guys.
All right, see y'all next week.
We are bad.